Okay, yeah. Southside, yeah. That's where I spend downtime, yeah. I mean it, night the rap. I check the podcast for the smoke, yeah. I don't wanna fight with you.
One. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is an episode of Southside Rabbi. If you look at my co-host, Kevin Elijah Burgess, right now he is cashing checks as we speak. I mean, the money is rolling in. He is scrolling on the phone because let me tell you, I've told you all before in the history of this show about his business acumen, and now you all are seeing it in real time, that there's certain times during the day that we're just, chilling, chopping it up, talking about Jesus. He has to take a break because he has to go and check his text messages and his investment accounts because so much is just rolling in off the back of his financial genius that he cannot just let it sit there. That money has to be direct. You know what they say? They say that if you do not direct your money, it's going to direct you. And so what you see right now live in person is a quintessential, in its quintessence, an example of a man that is controlling his money so that his money may not have control over him, ladies and gentlemen. I am talking to y'all about somebody that makes Gary V look like Gary Ski. Gary V who? Gary V talk about how he want to own the New York Jets. Kevin Elijah Burgess will probably own the New York Jets before Gary V does. Okay. And all I'm telling y'all is I just want to give love to my brother right here to my left. I'm talking about Kevin Elijah Smooth and Groove Burgess, true theologian for real. Ask any of your favorite Bible scholars, alive or dead.
Oh, no, you didn't.
They doing seances?
But if they're dead, then it's gonna be like the large didn't work, and you're gonna need a medium to contact them.
That's a fact. Whoa.
That's what Drake said. But don't do that. No, we don't support necromancy in this show. But I'm telling you, even if you were to do necromancy, the person that would come back from the dead would say Kevin Elijah Burgess is the man. So
stop it.
Ladies and gentlemen, KB.
First of all, I reject this applause. I reject this honor. It is too high. I'm unworthy. But thank you so much, Meansy, for the intro. And of course, we have Amin, the Dream Meme Machine. He who cannot be defeated. He cannot be deleted. Greet him when you see him. And when you meet him, he is transparent like a sequin. This brother.
Oh my gosh, the bars.
From the beginning to the end, he's in. Okay. I ran out of rhymes.
The bars, man. The
when
bars.
You want to be free.
Okay, I see that.
I do this.
Yeah, I know that.
But of course, make some noise for the man, the myth, the legend. I mean, the Dream Hudson. Okay. So I know what we're talking about today.
Yes. Today's episode is really a response episode.
It's a response episode.
Right.
Of something. We're going to do the thing that I wish more people would do.
Yes. Let's do that.
To live it out. Because
okay.
when we make a piece of art, and it goes out in the world, right? We put out a piece of content and it starts going viral, but people are taking it viral for reasons we did not intend. Okay? They are sharing this with their friends and their family. It reminds me of the time I preached this sermon, bro, at a church. And I went up there, bro, and I poured my heart out, bro.
Right.
And I was wading deep in the text, bro. And I was sweating and crying. I was like, man, God, I was spitting, cussing. No, I'm just playing. It wasn't cussing.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm laying it all out, bro. And I used for about 30 seconds an analogy about how the Christian life is not lived well when you are constantly taking your spiritual temperature and looking internally about how you're performing.
Right.
But you do better when you look on to Jesus. So I use the analogy about running a race or going for a jog.
Right.
If every 5 seconds you stop and check your heart rate, you bring out a scale to see if you lost any weight, you keep comparing your last run. Man, when I was 30 seconds into my last run, I was actually further. You will not make it to the finish line. But if you focus on the finish line, you will find that all the things that you're concerned about will begin to work themselves out. Your heart rate will get to the place where it needs to be.
Right.
You will drop weight. You will burn calories. You will be able to achieve your goals by focusing on the finish line. Just run, right?
Right.
So I was talking about how Christ is that. Fam, I got done with this sermon. This lady came to me afterwards and said, oh my gosh, this sermon was so good. I'm going to start jogging. And I was like, hold up. I didn't have the heart to say,
show me that you missed the point of the sermon without showing me that you missed the point of the sermon. That girl heard you say all this about Christ being the finish line.
Yes, bro.
And my good sister said this was an opportunity for me to get my fitness on.
What in the world?
I mean, praise God, bro. Sometimes, God does,
He works in mysterious ways.
I mean, one mysterious way that he worked is, as an artist, of course, you're a great artist, world-class artist. I mean, he used Church Clap to be the anthem of everyone in Wrangler jeans and cowboy hats at the Yellowstone Ranch in Montana, bro. You made that mug to be a black church anthem, and that mug turned into a evangelical.
No, it's way bigger than evangelical, bro.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's actually,
that mug is at country clubs.
It's at country clubs. I saw one cowboy that was just winding his waist to it.
Oh, yes, he was.
I was like, do you understand that this song is about Jesus? This man was just going. He was just
juking and gyrating.
I said, okay, brother.
It's too far, bro.
Yeah, too far, bro.
I must be one of the. This is why the Lord used it to keep me humble. So the song is officially RIAA gold. It's been gold.
Okay.
For like 2 years. But there was, I don't know if it was COVID or whatever, but they were dragging their feet because it's at over 600,000 sales, but gold is 500,000, which we hit like a year ago. But fam, I'm one of the few artists.
the proud.
I've joined the fraternity of artists who have a gold record on a song that most of the people that bought it have no idea who I am. The Lord just wants me. He wants me to stay humble.
Yeah, amen.
He wants me to not think too highly of myself. When I put that plaque on my wall, every time I walk by it, I'm going to be reminded that I have a gold plaque because of virality, not because people love KP.
You got to thank TikTok for that. You got to put a Chinese flag next to that gold plaque. So,
GG Ping. Anyways. So
Gigi Ping is going to text your phone and say you're welcome.
Oftentimes I would like for people like to like if folks are running in a whole direction that you didn't mean for it to go, but it's still making you money and getting you views, you kind of let it ride. But sometimes if they're taking it somewhere that's not good for folks, I wish they would address it.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna do today.
That's what we're gonna do. So
we put up go ahead.
So KB, we did an episode where KB had this point in the episode where he talked about marriage. It was a great point that you made. And the point was so great that we made a clip of it and we were like, man, we got to put this up. So we put it up on our Instagram, but I also put it up on my personal TikTok because I just thought it was just good. And I was like, this has to go up. People have to hear about this. So I put it up and it's not super duper viral, but it got like 2,000 likes, 14,000 plays, and it got 180 comments.
Yeah.
So hold on. Before we get into why we want to respond to it, this was the clip.
I think in marriages sometimes, what you'll find is that you can begin to feel like your spouse is a safe place for you to abuse.
Ooh.
You feel like I can use my family as punching bags, because punching bags don't punch back. What we will often see in marriages is that you will talk to your wife and your children a way you would never talk to your boss. And here's the thing, Mainsy. Your boss can be far more disrespectful than anything that your wife or your children have done. I had a homie one time and said that his boss used to curse him out all the time. But it never would cross your mind to stand up and say, you know what? No, you are not going to talk to me that way. Or to then begin to get real petty and disrespectful and angry and punch a wall. I've been to a lot of workplaces with bad bosses, bro. I ain't see no holes in the wall.
That's so
ain't
true.
Nobody punched no. The drywall is fine in the workplace.
But it's not fine in your crib.
But it's not fine in your house. Because you feel a safety to act in a way that you would never act anywhere else with those you say you love the most.
So KB made a great point about how we, as he said, feel a certain safety to act towards people that we love the most, that we don't with other authorities in our life. But he used that in a marital context, which was a great example because it's true.
It's true.
So when I put that clip up, I was like, oh man, people are gonna really love this, and it'll be a clip for us to really examine how we are talking to our spouses, how we are treating our spouses.
Yes.
It's a very good clip for us to do some self-interrogation.
Yes, and I hope that when you interrogate yourself, you realize you do what we all have to do.
Yes.
And are doing, that I am in a lot more control of my emotions than I am leading myself on to believe. You didn't have to do that.
Right.
You know how to feel disrespected, to feel small, to feel frustrated, even feel anger, and not punch a wall.
Right.
Or not to fire back.
Right.
You know how to do it.
Right.
Because you're doing it with people all the time. But when you do not value the people as you love, that when you're not valuing the people that you love in the same light that you value a dude who will punch you back in your face, so you value strength over the person that you love, or muscle over the person that you love, or when you don't value the people that you love in a way that these people have been here for me and I have a debt of commitment to them I'm not going to violate.
Right.
When my boss would fire me in his sleep and not ever think about me again, but I still show a restraint towards him that I don't show at my home, I'm showing that you have a lot more control and volition than you're leading yourself to believe.
Yes, amen. And that's a good point, because it's true.
Yeah.
So I put that up on my TikTok, and I was getting some notifications, and I was like, oh man, there's 180 comments on here.
Yeah.
I hope people are encouraged by it, and they're reflective. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And let me just read to you some of these comments. Of course, we had some people that were commenting saying, hey man, this was good, this is so real. But we had some folks that were saying, one sister said, women have been saying this. That's why marriage is not a flex. Ooh. Right? Another person said, I experienced this in my own marriage, and I was miserable. Someone said, I am glad that's why I'm single and independent, and I'm never gonna be in a relationship. Other folks said that's why I bounced. You could get somebody else to do it. Somebody says, we've been saying this for years, marriage is a place where a lot of men feel comfortable giving their worst while expecting the best. Some people saying, hey man, this actually happened to me in my marriage. Some sisters saying that. Folks saying, of course, that applies to both spouses. But you had some folks in there that were saying, hey, this is why I'll never get married. Yep. This is why marriage is not dope. This is why I won't be in a relationship, a marital relationship, and allow some, because I'm not going to give somebody the ability to be able to abuse me that way. And so one of the things that I noticed is that I was like, this was not a clip that I'll put up to discourage people from getting married. And it seemed like there were certain people in the comments that
were confirming what they already felt,
and which was, I don't want to get married, or marriage is not good, marriage is not a flex, or marriage is a trap of abuse, or a trap for abuse. Yep. And I was like, that's kind of not what we were going for, right? Yes. And so I would like for us to talk about that, bro.
For sure.
And talk about, why is it that what you said, or the reality of that situation, should not be a reason to discourage people from getting married.
Yes.
Yeah.
The first thing I want to say, I'm going to try my best to articulate this, okay? I think that the statistic now is just over 50% of all marriages fail, right? And the argument is, if 50% of marriages fail, and you want to make a wise investment with your life,
right?
Think about what you would do with your investments if you knew there was a 50% chance it would fail, right? Would you put your money in a company that you thought was a 50% chance that this thing was going to go down?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or, probably more relevant, because not everybody's investors, would you take airplanes if 50% of them crashed?
That's a very good one.
Yeah, so like 50% of all airplanes go
crash
down.
Yeah.
But that didn't want, like the other half, I mean,
they're making it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
Out of 10, 5 planes will make it to the destination. The other 5 will slide right to a side of a mountain.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Would you travel on airplanes? You would not. And the argument goes, since that's the case with marriage, then why are people getting married? This is what Fresh and Fit folks would say.
Right.
The manosphere people would say, it is not a wise investment with your time, because it fails. Now,
or people take advantage.
Or
well, I mean, I guess it fails because of stuff like that.
Right. Sure.
Uh-huh.
So let me just first push back on that a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm sure that there's going to be crazy in the comment section.
Yeah.
First of all, okay, I think that there's a undercurrent behind that argument. There's a backdrop to that is highly egocentric, slightly narcissistic, and surely individualistic, that you think that when you enter into the commitment or when you entered into the confines of a marriage, that this thing didn't work because there's something wrong with marriage and not wrong with you.
Ooh.
Okay?
Message.
That's not everybody's situation.
Absolutely not. We know that.
And I'm particularly talking about the men.
Yeah.
I'm not, so my sisters, I'll invite you to listen, but I'm particularly talking about the men who are online waving the banner of marriagelessness and how it is much better to have a harem of women and to have side chicks on side chicks than to actually commit to a single woman, because there's no woman high value enough or hits all the things that you need. It's fascinating to me watching these videos of men talking about all the things that they must have in a woman. She needs to basically be Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Okay. And well, I guess Wonder Woman wouldn't work. She'd be way too independent.
That's true.
She needs to be everything that I have fantasized about, or she can't be. She doesn't deserve to have a high value man like me, right?
For real.
This is the kind of things that they say. And these men have zero examples of successfully being with a woman. They talk a lot about relationships and they all suck at them.
Right.
So, which is always fascinating to me, but that's not really my
And some
point.
of them are paying for relationships, by the way.
Yes, they're gonna call it out on that.
Yeah.
So the logic doesn't get off the ground because what's underneath all of it is a dramatic lack of consideration of who you are, okay? The reason why it's not the same as how it would be with getting on an airplane is because we don't contribute to the pilot's error or the malfunction of the plane. You get on there and you're at the mercy of American Airlines, Delta, or whatever. But when you look at a person, you actually have tons of relationships before you get married, including committed relationships to boyfriends and girlfriends.
Yeah.
Way before you walk down the aisle, you have had a plethora of relationships. In those relationships, you got to ask yourself some questions. Am I the kind of person that is very defensive and can't take criticism? Do I hate people being in my personal space? Is it hard for me to be able to hear that I am wrong or I've offended or I offended when I didn't mean to offend? Is it hard for me to apologize? Is it hard for me to be sacrificial? Is it hard for me to be uncomfortable for the sake of someone that I love? Is it hard for me to get past moments of fallout and disagreement? Do I know what redemption is and reconciliation is? Is it hard for me to be confessional? Do I have tons of secret obsessions and addictions and that no one is aware of, that I'm not working on, that I am not wading through the waters of? I'm simply babysitting them, protecting them, and those secret whatevers will follow you all the days of your life. And you see in the ways in which it's already affecting your relationship with your parents, with your brothers, your sisters, friends in the community, your boss, your coworkers, so on and so forth. Relationship failure is rarely in a vacuum. It's rarely in a vacuum. It isn't that we were in love with each other and then we just weren't. That I'm sure that story is probably out there. But it typically isn't how it goes down. The thing that we tried to do when we got married very young, okay? But the thing there was a lot of bad advice that we were given on how to handle that. But I do appreciate some of the ways in which we went about it. We were trying to search for with who we would commit to. Someone that loved Jesus, someone that thought that Jesus was the most important person in the world, in the universe, right? Someone that didn't disagree with us on that. But we also were looking for people that we could get along with, right? So that meant that red flags matter.
Right.
If one of the things that we did, when we were coming up was that we did dating in community. So we would do a lot of group dates and stuff like that. And we would want to know what our potential life partner's parents were like. What are the things that her pastors saying about her, the friends around her? How does she get along with them? Vice versa.
Vice versa. Same with men.
If you show yourself to be someone that has no leadership, no authority, and every single conflict that you have is a big one too, bro. To this day, I am surrounded by brothers and sisters who have been married for over 10 plus years. We ain't in the 20s and 30s.
Right.
Or we like 10, 11, 12, 13,
Yeah.
or 7, 8, that kind of.
Yeah.
When we have issues in our marriage, not all of them.
Yeah.
But when we hit a place where we can't figure this out, we call each other.
Yeah.
What that means
We
is,
get help.
That's what that means.
Right.
That means that if I one day wake up and want to cuss my wife out,
Yeah.
her accountability partner's gonna know about it.
Right.
Bam. I'm saying that we are seeing our marriages as a community project.
Yeah.
That we are helping to, I'm not talking about shaming each other or just simply holding each other accountable.
Right.
You better treat her right kind of thing.
Right.
No, I mean, we are coming to the drawing board together with our failures, with our doubts, with our, compromises, whatever it may be. We're bringing that ugliness to the table and together parsing through it for the glory of God. That's also what helps us. But if you're the kind of man that rejects all counsel, you don't find safe in the counsel of the godly, spiritual leadership, spiritual oversight, therapy. What? What are they going to tell me? If you're that kind of man, then you should expect to have the kind of things that kill marriages very much present in your relationship. You should.
Right.
What I'm saying is we do not credit ourselves enough by the ways in which we sabotage marriage.
Yeah.
Because when marriages are working as they are designed to work, flourishing follows.
Yeah.
The studies are absolutely replete with evidence that it is a net positive for societies that have faithful marriages.
Right.
All in all, what I'm saying is, and I'm going to look at some things from a study that was done in the early 2000s. It was done in the 90s. But I think that it points to the value of marriage.
Yeah.
Although our perspective of marriage has changed, the value of marriage has not.
And there's other recent studies that still validate.
For sure. They validate these things.
Right.
But it's not, I think it's helpful for us, and I say this humbly, to not feel comfortable by just saying that marriage failed me. But I want to talk about the ways in which my spouse or even myself failed marriage. When I think about the gym, there are plenty of people that will say, hey, I did the gym thing. I woke up early, I was drinking the protein shakes, and it just didn't work for me. Most people who understand fitness
right,
would sit you
and
down
exercise.
And say, that's not the gym's fault. Now, you may be a unique genetic situation where you can't burn calories. That may be a different kind of thing. But typically, if the gym didn't give you the gains you wanted, it was probably because you didn't go in there.
It's user error.
Yes, bro.
Yeah. It was not the gym.
Yeah.
It was not the gym's fault. It wasn't the machine's fault. Wasn't the weight's fault. It's human error. It's something there's something that you're not doing right or correctly.
That's right.
Or maybe consistently.
And let me be clear here. There are victims in marriage. There are
absolutely.
There are, but the argument still stands. Though it is not like equally y'all fault. Y'all did this. Not at all. There are some people. There are some folks, and I know of many of these marriages. They are friends of mine. I've walked with many of my brothers and sisters through difficult marriages where you really are married to somebody that refuses to be what is needed for a marriage to work.
Yeah.
That's very, very challenging.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be insensitive, but I also want to defend that just like when men will come up to me and say, bro, I know a dude, I saw him today who told me, he said, bro, I'm divorcing my wife. I'm like, why? He's like, bro, I just can't stop cheating on her. I just can't. I mean, I just keep sleeping with her. So marriage doesn't work. I said, fam.
How is that your wife's fault?
That's not your wife's fault, and it's not marriage's fault either.
Right.
It's you. I can assure you, it's possible to not be sleeping around on your wife. It can be done.
Right.
I'm doing it. I know a lot of men that have done it.
Right.
It is very much possible. And you'll be happier if you can figure it out. It's not easy all the time.
Right.
But it is possible and always worth it.
Right.
Do not then say there must be something wrong. See, this is that magical stuff that we talked about in a previous episode. We think by merit of getting a piece of paper and walking down the aisle,
that does
doing the wedding, that we are now, that we're soulmates. So what that means is flourishing ensues. No.
Right.
That's like signing the contract on a land, or on a piece of land, and expecting because you own the land, the house will emerge. I bought the land for my house. Where is it? You got to build it.
Yeah.
You have to build it.
You have to work.
You have to work. If you are constantly thinking about how green the grass was before you got here, it is likely because you're not watering your own grass. It's not always that simple, brother.
Yeah, it's not always.
You may have someone that's putting landmines in the grass.
Yeah,
making sure that every time you try to water it, the ground explodes in your face. I understand. But oftentimes, brother, the fact that there's greener grass elsewhere is directly connected from the fact that you have not put in effort to fertilize and water your own grass, bro.
Yeah.
Because I am telling you that there is no world because you and I were meant for each other, that everything just works out. Kisses, fireworks.
Yeah. It's not a rom-com.
It is not a rom-com, bro.
Yeah.
They lied to us, bro.
Yeah.
There is no magic in the soulmate. The only magic is in the labor.
Yeah.
Where we are learning how to talk to each other. And it takes a long time. At no moment is your wife always the exact same person.
Yeah.
That we have different stages in life. That when we had our first married stage, we had our first child stage, our second child stage, our third child stage, our home ownership stage. We are constantly trying to figure things out. Such is life, bro.
Right.
Such is life. We unfortunately, if things work out the way that oftentimes our parents hope they do, we will bury our parents.
Yeah.
You don't even know what life is going to be like not being able to call your mom or your dad, how that's going to shift who you are, how you think, what you laugh at, how you serve, how you love, how you mourn. Each stage demands a new normal.
Yeah.
We want to be pulling in principles, character, and most importantly, the Spirit of God into every stage. But it all requires work. There are no gardens that flourish on their own.
Right.
They just have good gardeners and they have negligent gardeners.
Right.
And what I'm saying is, and most of us can see this in our lives, in our own families. Hopefully not in our own marriages, but we can see it in the marriages that we might have grew up in because we were our parents. I mean, we were living with our parents.
Yeah.
We often see wild negligence of the garden and then blame on everything else except our gardening skills. So I think it's important for us to not draw a one-to-one don't make a beeline from marriage didn't work for me, marriage didn't work for people that I know, therefore marriage doesn't work.
Right.
I think it's a little deeper than that, especially when you consider the science and the statistics around it. Marriage, this one, in 1994, the Justice Department reported that based on the National Crime Victimization Survey, they found that single and divorced women were 4 to 5 times more likely to be victims of violence in any given year than wives. Bachelors were found 4 times more likely to be violent crime victims than husbands. Two-thirds of acts of violence against women committed by intimate partners were not committed by husbands, but by boyfriends. And here's the other point that I want to make about this whole marriage doesn't work and we're abandoning marriage. Dear brother that's online campaigning against marriage.
Or watching cats who are.
Or consuming, especially you Gen Z brothers and sisters out there that are consuming TikToks about the merits of sleeping around, staying open, having multiple partners, but not committing, okay? Many of us have tried to have committed relationships with our boyfriend or with our girlfriend or our boyfriend, and it failed. We have, man, especially if you are celebrities who all their relationships are publicized, so we can literally look at the pantheon of people that you have been with, and every last one of them, it ended in failure, and most of them you were not married to, yet I don't hear you saying being in committed relationships at all doesn't work. Because you've shown that marriage is in a lot of ways a reflection of how you were doing relationships in romance already.
Right.
We were already cheating on our girlfriends. We were already lying to them, and we were already not treating them well. We were already doing things that in marriages without being married.
Right.
Marriage did not give you your unfaithfulness. It didn't give you
or your defensiveness.
Your defensiveness.
Yeah,
it didn't give you your anger, your violence,
your
marriage
lack of
didn't give that
leadership.
to you.
Yeah.
And you know this. Unfortunately, in our culture, many of us are in serial relationships before we commit to one. And I call that unfortunate for a host of reasons that I'll talk about on another podcast.
Right.
But since that's all our story, we've had a lot of test runs. Most of those test runs have went up in flames.
Right.
If you saw your ex anywhere, Drake's have his albums about his exes. The whole forget my ex, forget my baby mama.
Right.
Nobody's married, bruh. And the relationships are falling apart. So how in the world are you then, it's like stubbing your toe and blaming marriage, bro.
Right.
The connection isn't there.
Right.
We are the ones that have shown ourselves to not really know how to navigate interpersonal relationships, and marriage is the most intimate version of that.
Right.
What did you expect?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I know a lot of people thought that when Donald Trump got into the White House, that then he would then start talking differently. I heard it over and over again. He will then sound more presidential.
Right.
He did not do that. So what do? We redefine what it meant to be presidential. Well,
you know what?
He's just got a different style.
Or this is what presidents should sound like.
Yes. Or we made a new normal.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. We're redefining the marriage thing, or we're completely throwing it out and saying the new normal is to live in absolute dysfunction. Bro, the Fresh and Fit guys, I just throw this
y'all
out there.
holla at us too, bro.
I would on
y'all,
in a
hey, hold
heartbeat,
on.
I would
hold
go
on.
on your podcast.
I want to say this.
Big enough,
I want to
though.
say this real quick. And this is, we ain't trying to say this out of no arrogance. We would love to come on Fresh and Fit. And this is why I say that. Y'all cats on Fresh and Fit, and I'm talking about y'all because y'all are, we believe that y'all are doing a lot of damage to young men.
Yeah, for sure.
And young women.
Sure.
Y'all have cats on y'all shows. Y'all have OnlyFans girls on y'all shows that y'all feel like y'all can handle and slap around intellectually, bro.
Yeah.
That's what y'all do.
Yes.
Have us on the show to talk about relationships and marriages.
Yeah.
We would love to come and do it in charity. We ain't there to try to, but we would love to do it in charity.
Yeah.
Because I feel like y'all are making a lot of y'all points about relationships and marriages against folks that y'all feel like y'all have pretty good chances of just obliterating.
And whether if you're doing it in logic or not, sometimes just do it in bullying.
Have some other black young dudes that are y'all age that are married. We're both married.
Yep.
And he has kids. I have a child on the way.
Yeah.
Have some of us on the show to actually challenge some of that stuff that y'all believe about relationships and women and marriage and manhood.
Yep.
And what it looks like to be a real man and what strength looks like and all of that within culture and society. We would love to come on there and we'll do it on our own dime if y'all invite us.
Yeah, for sure.
So do it. But go ahead.
Straight up. Let me get back into what the City Journal discovered when they were looking through these papers. So number one, they found that women were actually safer inside of marriages than they were outside of them. Okay. The other thing that they found was that also it wasn't just that women were safer inside of marriages.
Yeah,
men were actually safer inside of marriages than they were outside of marriages. That's just what the study showed.
Yeah.
Right. It also is the studies also show that it can save your life. Married people live longer and healthier lives. Let me just say that this is not to downgrade singleness.
Yeah.
As much as I am a proponent of marriage, I am also a huge proponent of singleness. Saintly singleness is desired.
Yeah.
And not in a, I guess you could do that as alternative. It's a great option.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
However, if you're trying to say that marriage is basically the thing that gives you, get this ball and chain and ends your life early, that's not what the studies show. When it says that the power of marriage is particularly evident in late and middle age. When Linda Waite and a colleague, for example, analyzed mortality differentials in a very large, nationally representative sample, they found an astonishingly larger marriage gap in longevity. 9 out of 10 married guys who are alive at 48 will make it to age 65, compared with just 6 in 10 in comparable single guys, even when they control for race, education, and income.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
More can be said about that, but I'll keep it moving. It's also good for your children. Children lead healthier. Brother, one of the things the Fresh and Fit guys talk about a lot is that they basically see women of having no value outside of providing children.
Yeah.
And
pleasure
also, and pleasure.
And children.
Yes.
Yeah.
Producing paternity and, maternity and pleasure.
Yeah.
Right? Those are the two things that women bring to the table.
That's the
And then
manosphere.
there's all this woe is me. No, women can be with anybody they want to be with. We don't get that option. It's harder for us. We don't do well after divorce. They take our kids in divorce court. All these.
They take our money.
They take all of our money, and they didn't build this. We build this world that they live in. All of those kinds of statements that they make. Now, a big piece of that is children, because I guess you have to logically concede
that you need women to
might be able to get on a roof and build a house. And by the way, ain't none of y'all roofing. All right. So anyway, put that aside. You might not be going out to war. Fighting on the front line, but they are the nurses taking care of y'all when y'all got shot and blown up by IED. That's a whole different thing. Because this dude on Twitter was talking about how women shouldn't be able to vote if they can't fight in war, and realize that women literally, World War II, America came in and Superman the world.
Right.
Women made that possible. They were in the factories building the guns. They were building the guns. They were treating the wounded, bro.
Yeah,
they were holding down the house.
Right.
They were making sure that when you came home that there were more boys that could grow up and go to war. Because if that didn't happen, they were just at home waiting for you. When y'all died, America's
it was over.
done.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Anyways, so sorry, rabbit trail. But for those in the manosphere, have you considered that children lead a healthier, they also live longer, okay, if their parents get and stay married? Adults who fret about the secondhand smoke and drunk driving would do well to focus at least some of their attention on this point. In one long-term study that followed a sample of highly advantaged children, middle-class whites with IQs of at least 135, They followed them up through their 70s. A parent's divorce knocked 4 years off the adult child's life expectancy. 40-year-olds from divorced homes were 3 times more likely to die from all causes than 40-year-olds whose parents stayed married.
Yeah. And we already know all the statistics about what fatherlessness does to children.
Absolutely. We know that very well. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Right, that's right. Also, my manosphere, my high value brothers, high value man to high value man. You make more money, okay? Men today tend to think of marriage as a consumption item, a financial burden, but a broad and deep body of scientific literature suggests that for men especially, marriage is a productive institution. It's as important as education in boosting a man's earnings. In fact, getting a wife may increase an American male's salary by about as much as a college education. Married men make, by some estimates, as much as 40% more money than comparable single guys, even after controlling for education and job history. We didn't even get into the fact that if your wife is working too.
Oh, right. Then that's already right.
Here's the thing, my brother.
Hold on to your butts.
Marriage has historically been an institution of financial productivity.
True.
Now, there are consequences if you want to, run off with your secretary.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Because a lot of this comes down to that.
Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
just talking to the men right now. I know some men come in and say, well, my wife was the one that blah, blah, blah. I understand. I'm sorry, I don't want to be insensitive, but I'm particularly thinking about manosphere guys.
Yeah.
You want to be able to do whatever you want to do without consequence. Mm-hmm. The point that I'm making is the financial conversation is normally, I want to be able to get rid of her and keep my kids and all my money.
Right.
You don't get to do that. You just don't get to do that. And you're right. And that's why you hate marriage.
Prenup. Yeah.
That's why you hate marriage. I mean, let's be honest.
Right.
You don't like feeling locked down.
Yep.
That's what you're hating.
Which is a fear of commitment.
It's a fear of commitment.
That's what that is.
Yes.
All of the fearless manosphere men who ain't scared of nothing.
Yes.
They'll knock anybody out. They'll take up arms and go to war, but they will not marry a woman if they have to stay faithful to her.
That's right.
Because that's what high value men are saying.
Yeah.
Well, I'll get married, but she just has to understand that as a high value man, I'm gonna have a little side dishes on the side, and she gotta be okay with that.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, so what you want is first of all, the narcissism involved in such a deal like that is wild.
It literally hollows out your wife into a thing, not a person.
She's just an expense.
That's right.
She's like having Hulu or Netflix.
She's a subscription.
But that's what you're turning your wife into.
Your wife is a monthly
subscription. You give her the credit card, she goes and shopping, does what she wants, stays in a nice house, and I get to go do whatever I want with any woman that I want because I'm a high value man. She's getting her subscription money every month.
That's right.
So she should let me go do whatever I want.
Right.
That's not marriage, bro.
And that's not love.
And that's
That's the biggest thing.
It's not love. It's a type of paperwork prostitution.
It is
what you're doing. You're prostituting your wife, except you are her client. That's what you're doing, high value man. If you want to do that, go and get prostitutes. Because a lot of y'all are already doing that.
I know.
Y'all have wives and then y'all are paying other women to have sex with y'all.
Yes.
Or taking them out and buying them some bags and taking them on a shopping spree and expecting sex in return. That is not manhood, brother.
That's right. It's not manhood at all.
It's not manhood.
Because manhood is predicated upon love. And love for country, love for community, love for your loved ones, those who are in your family. Love says that I will value your well-being at the same level that I value mine.
And that well-being is not just financial, it's also emotional.
That's right.
And that's why, and actually the emotion.
How does she feel about this? Let's interview her.
Right.
So your hubby's on a trip to Turks and Caicos.
Right.
With 4 of his secretaries. Why he has 4 secretaries, I don't know.
I have no idea.
But he's on a private jet with them.
Yeah.
How do you think she feels about this?
Right.
And even if she has been able to make peace with it after you've been doing it I remember that there have been stories of wives they found out and then they were devastated and they were like, I'm 15 years in with this man.
Right.
I have no marketable skills outside of taking care of this house.
Right.
And he is saying to me, you can stay if you want.
But I'm going to continue to do this.
But I'm going to keep doing what I want to do.
Right.
What is her recourse?
Right. Exactly.
Oftentimes, she has to make it a new normal.
Right.
Which is a devastating thing.
Absolutely.
It crushes a soul.
Absolutely.
It destroys a woman's heart and a woman's worth.
Yes. Absolutely.
And that means you don't love her as you should.
You don't love her as you should.
Or you don't love her at all.
You don't, or you don't love her at all.
Yeah.
And you think that manhood is just providing her financial security. Bro, that's what they say. Oh, I'm paying the bills, ain't I? She's staying in this house. She doing this, she doing that. My brother.
Yeah.
If you think that all a woman needs is financial security and physical security as far as your strength, but she doesn't need emotional security, you do not know women very well.
Yeah.
And also, I find it very convenient that the security that she does need is all of the stuff that you can probably provide, but the security that you believe she doesn't need is the one thing that you can't do, which is keep yourself under control from sleeping with all these other women. Doesn't that sound like a kind of philosophy that a man that with no self-control has made?
Sure.
And that's what manospherism is doing.
Yeah.
It's trying to perpetuate and normalize a philosophy that men who don't have any self-control are trying to make it a norm, that their lack of self-control is not only something that they should be able to do with no consequence and no actual moral or ethical dilemma within their own brain, but that all of the women should accept it as well.
Yeah, bro.
And that's why the manosphere is dangerous.
Yes,
and that's why y'all cats are not, that's not what real men do.
That's right. That's right.
And manhood, as KB said, being predicated on love, which also means that love one of the characteristics of love is your fidelity to what you love. You cannot say that you love your nation if you are also trading secrets with another nation.
Come on, sir. Oh!
So you're going to get on here and say that you're an American patriot, but you're betraying America by giving the countries other things that will put America in danger?
Yeah, come on.
You're going to say that you love and loyal to your friends, but you're talking about your friends terribly behind their back and giving your friends, let's say enemies, ammunition to be able to harm your friend? None of us think that love does not require fidelity and loyalty. Even the manosphere guys would say that love requires fidelity and loyalty. If you have a son, you say that you are going to be loyal to your son, yet you are stiff-arming your son for maybe another boy or stiff-arming your son for your career or all of that. You would say that all of that is not love. Yet when it comes to your wife or your woman, love for her is supposed to also require that you could betray her behind her back.
Absolutely, yes. And betray her to her face. No care for her needs, her vision, her calling, the way she's shaped. There's no care for the ways in which she might feel loved or served or appreciated or celebrated. None of that matters because you, my friend, pay bills. That is heinous. And let me tell you this, the son point is the apt point because you have more, if you have children, you have more than just your wife living in your house.
Yeah.
Could I say that to my son? Son.
Oh, hold on, KB. You stepping on some toes now.
Could I just say, son, I understand there's these videos of me online hanging with everybody else's kids. I'm taking them out for ice cream. You see me at their basketball games.
I'm playing catch with other kids.
I'm playing catch with all of them. I know you see those videos, but don't worry about that. I just like that. But remember, you have somewhere to stay because of me.
And at the end of the day, even though I'm out there playing catch with all those kids, I'm at the AAU games, I'm rooting for them, I'm taking them for ice cream afterwards, I'm buying them Jordans. I come home to you, son.
I come home to you. Yes. I come home to you.
It's the difference between you coming home to someone and you belonging to someone.
Sure. And even make this more
real. It's not the same thing.
Even make this more realistic. Even in the ways in which you might be a tycoon of industry and your job has all of your attention, your love, your concern, your care, your loyalty, right? And your child doesn't get any of this. When that child gets old enough that they can articulate what they're feeling, what they're going to say is, my dad consistently showed that he loved everything else more than me.
And your answer is going to be, you had a roof over your head, didn't you?
How?
You had steak on your plate, didn't you?
The sacrifices I made for you. And I understand that isn't the cleanest analogy. There are oftentimes, especially if you're in the military, where you
there's different.
But what I'm saying is, what you probably won't see on Fresh and Fit is a lot of,
or any of these other Manosphere pods.
Manosphere's pod is you won't see a lot of sisters that are gonna they are hand selecting who have on there, and even I've seen OnlyFans sisters handle them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Not to say because they are OnlyFans that they're not smart, intelligent, capable, and valuable.
Yeah,
but man, I just want to hear you have a wife come on to your podcast. There's one sister in my mind right now. I would say her name.
Yeah.
But I think it might make her feel weird if I sing her out.
Okay, don't do it.
But there is a sister in my mind that if y'all had her on your show, she's been married for 14 years. People find sisters that have been married
longer.
Priscilla Shire, you know what I'm saying? You know, have Jackie Hill Perry on your show.
Oh my gosh.
Have women on your show that love marriage and can articulate why they love it.
Yeah.
And let them explain to you how they interpret all of the negligence, or how they would interpret the negligence that you guys are trying to normalize. Because when we take it, I'm saying, when you take it from the testimony of the son, when the son turns 18 or 19 years old or 20 or 30 years old and he can express what was happening, he is not going to say, I know that my dad took great care of me by making sure that we were able to live in a 5-bedroom house that was 5,000 square feet, although he rarely showed me that he loved me. I've never heard anybody assuage their woundedness with that. But we had a home theater. We also went to Disney once a year.
Right. And if that kid does that, he won't be a great adult growing up. I'm just being honest.
Straight up, bro.
If your kid is like, I don't care about having none of the emotional needs met because I had all these material things to fill it.
Yeah.
That makes for a horrible life as an adult.
Absolutely. Let me keep going down the list. Marriage has also been proven to be good for your mental health. Let me just say this, only because when we look at the statistics, it leans towards that there is a mental health benefit with more marriage. So if you take a group of married folks and comparing them to a group of people who are unmarried,
right,
what they are finding that the married folks will often show a kind of mental stability that you might not find with folks who are in serial dating relationships.
Yeah.
But I think that it also proves the point that I made earlier. Do not get it twisted. All of these relationships that you're having with boyfriend and girlfriend every year, new man every year, new girl every year, or multiple a quarter or one every quarter, whatever it may be. All of those things are preparing you, right? They are training. They are training you in what it means to be with somebody one-on-one forever.
Right.
It's a training ground for that.
Right.
And you're picking up things.
Right.
It proves my point that when you are in committed relationships with a man or a woman, no matter if it's 15 a year or one every other year or whatever it may be, those are a kind of training center of how you do relationships. And in that training ground, you will discover who you are even before you get married, right? Mm-hmm. Marriage in a lot of ways is like money. It will just extend or amplify the person you already were before you got this, okay? And what we are finding is it's not as if we're all happy and holy in our serial boyfriend and girlfriend relationships. Yet the manosphere dudes ain't trying to throw that out.
Right.
They're not saying we just should not be with the opposite sex, because that really is the argument. At the end of the day, if you were not with the opposite sex or the same sex, if that's your cup of tea.
Yeah.
Because the same issues are there and sometimes even worse.
Right.
Okay? If that is the case, then just throw it out altogether.
Right.
But you can't do that because God has wired you for this institution.
Mm-hmm.
God has given you the kind of things that you need to be able to rear a family in a way that helps the world flourish.
Amen.
So when marriage is done right, like singleness being done right, flourishing ensues. So studies say to speak to that. Here's the last point. And much more can be said, but I'll end with this. Because the thing that the folks in the manosphere will talk about is not just the manosphere, but in general, the wife, marriage is that which ends your joy.
Right. That's what they say.
Joy. It ends joy. Mm-hmm. It is a ball and chain that stops you from all of the real fun that you could be having by having subscriptions with OnlyFans and living, wild and paying for sex like some of those dudes do.
Right.
Here's what the studies say, though. In marriage, you will actually have better sex and sex more often. Despite the Sex in the City marketing that promises singles erotic joys untold, both husbands and wives are more likely to report that they have extremely satisfying sex lives than singles or cohabitors.
Wow.
Both of them. And the studies show that divorced women were the least likely to have a sex life they found extremely satisfying and emotionally. For one thing, married people are more likely to have a sex life. Single men are 20 times more likely, and single women are 10 times more likely not to have had sex even once in the past year than married folks. Almost a quarter of single guys and 30% of single women lead sexless lives. Married people are also most likely to report a highly satisfying sex life. Wives, for example, are almost twice as likely as divorced and never married women to have a sex life that exists, A, and B, is extremely satisfying emotionally. So, what we see in the studies, 50% of husbands say that sex with their partner is extremely satisfying physically, compared to 39% of cohabitating men. So even if you have an at-home situation, but y'all aren't married, the studies show that folks who are married are having better sex than the people
who are
just
cohabitating. Yeah. Or single.
All that to say, the argument against marriage and the argument for the pursuit of pleasure as a more satisfying and holistic experience as a man is a complete bill of goods.
Right.
They are lying to you.
Yeah, and to themselves.
And we need more voices I hate to toot our own horn, but we need more men talking like this.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with one of my close friends, and he was explaining to me in his marriage that ended up ending. And he was talking about how his community in the city that he was living in, the husbands never talked about their sex lives with each other. So they never, so obviously cats talking about porn. That's it. If we're talking about sex lives, we're talking about porn in Christian circles.
That's crazy.
We're talking about struggling with porn. That is it.
Right.
But no one ever talked about how God had designed this pleasurable experience to be in the marriage bed as a kind of benchmark and a signal, a sign, an aroma of satisfaction and and healing and wholeness and connectivity. Right. That is to teach you about what it means to live full lives in general. Particularly under the sovereignty of our great God, knowing him and supping with him. They didn't talk about that. So when they were having this particular friend I'm talking about, when things were falling apart in the marriage bed, he thought that just was what it was supposed to be. And he said, man, he could basically count on one hand how many times they were intimate with each other over the course of a long time.
Right.
And he didn't know that there was supposed to be something different.
Right.
This is not to say that, again, marriage in itself is not a panacea. It doesn't just
fix
give you stuff.
Right.
So it isn't get married and be happy. Or the things that they try to do with the black community and say, if y'all just got married, then y'all wouldn't be poor. Marriage isn't magical in that way.
Right.
Marriage gives you a foundation to build something.
Right.
That can be magical.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about a pastor that in our community that has been married for 25 years and will let us know, hey, brother, I'm 25 years in and it's still good.
Right.
It's dope.
Yeah.
No plans of leaving whatsoever.
Right.
How could I leave this? Okay? We need to hear more of that.
Yeah.
My marriage counselor, when I sat down with him, because I was like, man, everybody that I saw in my community, if I were to read the stories, okay, of their relationships, it's nobody has the legs to be married. Don't do it.
Right.
And my counselor said, oh, that's funny. That's not my story, or it's not the story of a lot of men that I know. Our story is this has been a 40-year honeymoon. Was it hard at times? Yes.
Right.
Did we feel like did we get to some bad fights? People fight on their honeymoons.
Yeah.
But we love each other, though. We came back and we built something. The studies also show, in The Meaning of Marriage, Tim Keller talks about this, that when you hit that dark night of the soul in the marriage, if y'all can get through that mug, the marriage will be bigger and brighter and more satisfying on the other end.
Yeah.
But if you can survive the dark tunnel, and sometimes the tunnel is super dark.
Yeah.
It's super dark. And sometimes you don't need to go through that tunnel. It depends on the situation.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, if it is a situation where the tunnel can be survived,
yes,
on the other side, you find something greater and grander that you cannot argue against, bro.
Yeah.
There's a great book by a brother named Gary Thomas called Cherish. I recommend you get both of his books. He wrote a book called Cherish and a book called Sacred Marriage. Both of those are the two most impactful books in my life as I understand what it means for me to be married to Michelle. But in Cherish, he told this story about a wife who just got fed up. She had been married to her husband for about 15 years. And my man was just constantly just dropping the ball, not cleaning up after himself, not really meeting her needs, just like, and she just got to the place where she grew cold and weary, and she simply said, I don't respect you anymore. I don't love you anymore. I want out of this. That was a wake-up call for him.
Mm-hmm.
He started making adjustments. My man got in the gym. My man was like, no, I'm listening. I get it now. I didn't know you were suffering like that. For married men out there, let me just say this to you as well. More times than not, I hear, and I've experienced it in my own life, so this isn't just in stories of brothers that I've talked to. Oftentimes, our wives can be suffering in silence.
Yes, that is true.
You don't know that the things that you're saying and doing and the things that you're not saying and not doing are crippling her.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, she speaks up.
Yeah.
And you're like, where did this come from?
It's been there.
And I've seen men go one of two directions. I'm thinking about one direction is, you're just making this up.
Yeah.
I've been good to you. I come home, don't I?
Yeah.
And then you calcify her pain.
Right.
By not taking serious how she's feeling.
Right.
Or you go the other direction. Oh my goodness. You are right. I have been chipping away at this. I have not dreamed with you. I have not loved you. I have not listened to you. I am the one that's always talking.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear how your day is going. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you take the route of humility. Brothers, check on your spouses.
Yeah.
Make sure that you are hearing them. Not just hearing them, but listening to them.
Right.
Make sure that you're listening to them. But setting that aside, he told this story about this wife. She said, I'm done. I want something better. Right. And it reminds me of sorry, just a quick, like 10 seconds. I had a sister that was working for us one time say that to me about her husband. She was like, me and my husband got married when I was 18 years old. We've been together for 20 years. It's just time. I was like, does he want to stay? Oh, he loves me. He doesn't want to go anywhere, but I just need a different thing. He wants to stay, and he's a good man. He's a really good man. Nothing but positive things to say about him. She said, I just need something. I just want something else. I just want out, right? So this sister in this book had a similar
situation.
She's like, Then my man did everything he could for like some period of time to try to get her. It didn't work. Mm-hmm. She left. She divorced him. She married another dude, and she found out very quickly that she had to restart the whole process over again. In helping to build a home that she's comfortable in.
Right.
While all the work she did on her husband was then gifted to another woman.
Right?
Message. Yep. Gifted to another woman. And that's what I'm just saying what she said. Come at me.
Yeah.
I'm saying what she said. She said, if I would have known that I basically, all of my long suffering, all of the ways in which I was patient, if I knew that on the other side of it would be the man that he is today, that he is for our children today, that he is for his new wife today, I would have never left him.
Wow.
That's what she said, bro.
Wow.
And again, this is not a one-size-fits-all. This is a very particular story, right? But I think that it does kind of underscore the point. Marriage is hard, bro.
Yeah.
It's the hardest thing you will ever do.
Takes work.
Takes a lot of work. But it also can be fitted as one of the most rewarding things that you've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
You will kiss it. You will kiss this institution if you are just as concerned about it failing you, if you are just as concerned about failing it as you are about it failing you.
Yeah. This has been Southside Rabbi. Me and the Dream.
K to the second letter.
We love y'all. We'll see y'all again. Peace.